What's good, everybody? This is Brian Zeke, aka Franchise Play, coming to you with the recap for UFC 187. Obviously, everybody knows it didn't have the fight that we all wanted to see, which was Anthony Rumble Johnson taking on Jon Bones Jones. Instead, we had it replaced with Anthony Rumble Johnson taking on Daniel Cormier for the now vacated light heavyweight championship of the world. And Daniel Cormier was the one who came out victorious in this bout. He took on Anthony Rumble Johnson, and let's talk about that one first before we get into what was a pretty exciting card nonetheless. Rumble came out like a house of fire, like most probably expected. He actually dropped Daniel Cormier with a hard smacking right hand early in the first round, but Daniel took it really well, got to his feet, and ultimately turned it into the grind out type of a bout that we pretty much should have known he could win as long as he could withstand the power of Anthony Rumble Johnson, which he clearly did. I'll be honest, I was disappointed in Rumble's performance because essentially the same kryptonite that he'd had before proved to still be his biggest weakness. His lack of wind, his lack of stamina was an issue. He was not able to, he sold out early with the body kicks, with the hard right hands, sold out and didn't get it done. And then at that point, he gassed out. Daniel Cormier took top control and just pretty much overwhelmed him, ultimately winning by rear naked choke in the second round. My opinion, while it had some exciting moments, I felt it was a more or less a disappointing performance from Rumble. And Daniel Cormier is the new undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, but it's pretty much an empty victory. And even you could tell from his demeanor after he won. I mean, he tried to, show that he was, excited. But at the end, when he did his very, very brief post-fight interview, basically told Jon Jones, get everything together, get your stuff together, use some different language, and says, so I'm waiting for you. Because he knows he's not going to really be able to enjoy that championship or really feel like he's truly the man at 205 pounds unless he beats Jon Jones. And it would be different had he never fought Jon Jones. See, I think Anthony Rumble Johnson might have even been able to feel a little bit better about winning because he's never fought Jon Jones. So if he wins this fight, hey, I'm the light heavyweight champion. This guy, I'll fight him when he gets his stuff together. But Daniel Cormier wins, and in your last fight, you just lost to Jon Jones. So it's almost impossible for you to feel 100% with that. But it was what it was. Let's talk about the prelims. Early on, we saw Justin Scoggins take on Josh Sampo. And I've been really impressed with Justin Scoggins. I think his ceiling is extremely high. He's only 23 years old. Ended up winning the unanimous decision. He's taken some tough losses. I believe he lost to John Moraga, who was also on this card. So it's been a little, he's going through some growing pains. I look at his career and it might end up being similar to Max Holloway, who took some tough losses early on, but ultimately now he's one of the better fighters at lightweight. So we'll see if that happens with Scoggins at flyweight or if he even moves up. The next one was one of the better fights of the night. It was a lightweight bout between two guys making their debut. Makdessi taking on Leo Kuntz, and it was a masterful grappling job by Makdessi. Kuntz was game, and he did his best to try to stem the tide, but ultimately the grappling prowess was very much in Makdessi's favor, and he won the fight based off of that skill. Next up, we had Colby Covington taking on Mike Pyle. Mike Pyle is definitely a veteran. He's been around forever, and he's known for his grappling, which made it even that much more impressive that Colby Covington was able to control him on the ground, take him down. He did have an anxious moment right at the end because Mike Pyle went for it in the third round, knew he was down 2 rounds, knew he had to get a finish to win, and he really went for it and nearly got it with a submission attempt late. But to Colby Covington's credit, he was able to escape that and not get, and basically avoid getting submitted. The next fight was a little bit disappointing. These guys, Rafael Natal and Uriah Hall, were going back and forth in the pre-fight. They were, all at each other. They couldn't wait to get at each other. But when the fight came around, they were a little bit chippy. I mean, they started off the fight and the tall kicked Uriah Hall directly in the testicles, and it did not look like it was an accident. This did not look like an inside leg kick. This looked like an inside testicle kick, for real. But after that, I don't understand Uriah Hall. I don't. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, would he be better as a boxer than a mixed martial artist? And I say that because he wants to be very to me, he needs more rounds to do his work than what MMA provides, because he needs to get a rhythm. He needs to set up the jab and set up power shots. Yes, he's outstanding with his feet, and obviously you can't do that in boxing. But I don't know. It's something that's missing with the guy. He loses to guys he shouldn't. He had no business losing to Rafael Natal today. None. And he lost a unanimous. Actually, it was a split decision, and it wasn't a bad decision. I mean, in the third round, he got outworked, and that was the key round, and that's how he lost the fight. So, whatever. A stun gun, Dong Hyun Kim took on John Berkman in definitely one of the most exciting fights of the night. These guys, Kim dominated the fight the first 2 rounds, but in the third round, Berkman hurt Kim, nearly had him stopped, but Kim was able to quickly switch the tables and ultimately get the stoppage via submission, triangle choke, and it was a very impressive performance. Kim has put on some very exciting matches. Either winning or losing, he's put on some exciting stuff, and this one was no exception. Another prelim was John the Magician Dodson making his return back to the octagon after missing a year with a torn ACL. He took on his friend Zach Makovsky. Now, this fight was probably the worst fight of the night. It was very boring. These guys are clearly friends, and it looked to me that they had too much respect for each other throughout the entire fight, and we really couldn't get to any action because there was so much mutual respect. Sometimes that happens. I think both of these guys are pretty good fighters. I just don't think they should ever be in an octagon again together. Dodson won by unanimous decision, and it was a close fight. It really could have gone either way, but God, we don't need to see a rematch. The next fight was Joseph Benavidez taking on John Moraga, the previously mentioned John Moraga. Now, this fight had an outstanding first round. Moraga caught Benavidez with a really nice leg kick, but Benavidez didn't buckle at all. He actually countered with a right hand, and it was a really knockdown, drag-out round. But from that point on, he pretty much dominated the fight with his wrestling. He probably could have had a good shot at winning the fight if he stayed on his feet, but smartly, he knew he had the edge grappling, and that's why he took the fight to the ground and ultimately came out winning. This guy, I'm convinced this guy can probably beat every flyweight in the world not named Demetrius Johnson, but that guy's sitting there at the top like Michael Jordan, and he's like the Knicks and the Heat trying to actually win the NBA Finals, or get to the NBA Finals. The next fight was clearly more than likely. I haven't seen the performance of the night bonuses or who's going to win fight of the night, but I'm pretty sure it's got to be Andrei Arlovski against Travis Browne. First of all, anytime 2 heavyweights have a great fight, it's almost a given that they're going to win. And this one was only 1 round, but boy, was it exciting from front to back. It was crazy. Arlovski hurt Browne early, and these 2 guys were friends too, so it shows you just because you're friends, you don't have to fight like Dodson and Makovsky did. But I don't blame those guys. It is what it is. But, I mean, Arlovski stunned Browne early, but Browne would not go down. He was kind of reeling the entire round, but he backed up against the cage and threw a desperation right hand that clipped Arlovski directly on the chin. Arlovski went down like a ton of bricks, and I'm thinking to myself, Arlovski's going to blow this fight, because he's kind of one of those guys. He's like that all or nothing kind of a guy, and I'm like, he's going to blow this fight. He just got clipped, and Travis Browne's going to jump on him. But Browne's legs were still wobbly, so he comes in trying to drop the hammer fist, but his equilibrium wasn't quite there to finish the fight. Arlovski gets to his feet relatively quickly, goes right back on the attack. Referee's forced to stop the fight as he lands 2 to 3 more punishing blows. One of the most exciting heavyweight fights that you'll remember, that you'll see. The only other one I can think of that was probably better or either on par was Bigfoot against Mark Hunt, but this one was crazy. Next up, we had Donald Cowboy Cerrone against John Makdessi. Donald Cerrone is a nasty dude. I mean, he is a beast. I mean, and it looks like he just keeps getting better. I mean, today he stops Makdessi, who's a tough guy, breaks his jaw. And the funny thing of it is if you look at the fight statistics, the significant strikes were pretty much even in this fight. But clearly, Donald Cerrone did the most damage with his strikes, namely the one that breaks his jaw, which was a kick to the face, a head kick. It was a ridiculous performance. If Donald Cerrone does not get the next title shot at 155, there is really something nasty in the game. This guy is, whoa. I mean, he's lost to Anthony Pettis before, and obviously Pettis is not still the champion, but I'm going to be honest, man. If I put him in a fight with Javier Dos Anjos, I don't know. I think I might take Cerrone at this point. I know they have some history too, so I don't know. That's a tough one. The co-main event in the last fight we'll talk about today, and before I let you guys go to sleep, I'll go to sleep and all that. I've been working like a wild animal tonight. But the last fight, the co-feature, was Chris Weidman, UFC middleweight champion, taking on Vitor Belfort. And Belfort looked like an old man tonight. I mean, physically he did, clearly much less muscle. So people are obviously going to talk about the absence of the TRT in his, in his whole program, his training program. But he still looked explosive, and he still had punching power. He just seemed to run out of gas very quickly. He hurt Weidman hard in the first round, and cut him across the brow. But Weidman took the shots, went up against the cage, and Belfort came in and started throwing combinations, but he couldn't get him out. But I think what ended up happening, because he couldn't get him out, he ended up gassing out, similar to what happened to Anthony Johnson. Weidman ultimately takes him down, takes top control, and Weidman is one of those guys that once he gets on top of you, it is just about a wrap. And he just began to rain down the elbows, rain down the shots on Vitor, and ultimately the fight had to be stopped because of unanswered blows. Vitor didn't even use the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that he knows to even try to get up. Instead, he just tried to get up like a guy would get up in the street if somebody gets on top of him, by throwing punches from the bottom, just trying to power his way up, wasting energy. It was like he panicked, or like he felt like he didn't look as confident as he had looked in previous fights. And we can put that on whatever we want to put that on, but that was the fact of the matter. He did not look nearly as confident as he has previously. So overall, it was a pretty exciting night of fights. Pretty good fight, pretty good card. When UFC 187, even without Jon Jones, had Jon Jones been there, it would have been even, oh my God, it would have been amazing. I don't know if Jon Jones is ever going to come back to the UFC. More so than we'd like to see him in the UFC, I'd like to see him just get everything together. It's really horrible when you watch somebody kind of fall apart one piece at a time. So, God bless him for sure. And God bless you, and I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.